Alright, Ryan Gill here from HuntPrimitive. If you haven't figured it out already, this is the channel where we entertain, educate, and inspire through both primitive build and or hunting videos. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Today we are going to be working on building an Atlatl thrower. Before we go any further on that, if you haven't seen the video on building the Atlatl darts, you must go watch that. I will link it somewhere. It'll either be up in the screen over here somewhere or over here, I don't even know. Yeah, or down in the description in YouTube, or even up in the description on Facebook. Who even knows where this thing's going to be? Look somewhere. The link to that video is somewhere. Very important information. The dart is what kills the animal. This is just what delivers the dart with the extra energy that we need. Watch this video too. Very, very important. But we're going to work on this now today because I did a big video on the darts and everybody's like, man, what do you use for a thrower? This is that video. Huge information. If you haven't been following the things that I've been doing with a primitive Stone Age, stone-tipped Atlatl, you need to check it out. I'm going to throw some pictures up on the screen, maybe even a little video, I don't even know. We're going to throw some stuff up on the screen to show you. I have taken all these animals in a span of about 15 months with stone-tipped Atlatls. 2 pigs, 2 alligators, and a Corsican ram. I'm doing crazy things with this awesome, unique Stone Age weapon that most people don't even have any idea what it is. So, without further ado, let's show you what you need to know about building your Atlatl thrower, or at least the way that I do it. Okay, what we need to know about building the Atlatl thrower. Now we're not going to jump into building it, okay? I'm going to show you it. This is not a complicated thing. It's really not. Building this, you can do the whole thing with a pocket knife. You really can. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need any extra holes. You don't need straps. It's a stick, okay? And it throws another stick. The important bit of information that you're going to get here is all about balance and energy distribution to a target. That's all the important stuff you're going to gather from this. A lot of people like to take the Atlatl and overcomplicate it because they think, I mean, it's just too simple. It's a stick, right? I need to have like all these fancy little frills and all this stuff hanging. You don't need any of that. Literally, you go cut a stick in the woods and we're going to carve it into this. It's really super simple stuff. So let's check it out. Let's learn how to do it. Okay, what we're looking for in a thrower. First thing I want to talk about, choose a hardwood. I don't care what hardwood you choose. Stay away from cedar, willow, anything that's light. Okay, choose something that's heavy. That's part of what the thrower's about. Okay, it's mechanical leverage, but also you're talking about energy. And if you have something that's heavier, it can transfer energy and momentum into your spear more than something that's lighter. Okay, plus the hardwood is going to put up with more abuse in the long run than a light thrower. It's all about balance and energy. Okay, don't care what hardwood you use, pick something hard. This one here is actually dogwood. It's pretty hard wood. Now you can see from the design that I used here, many would call this maybe a basket maker's, and it's a channel cut down into the wood, you can see, and then the spur is cut into it. The more stuff you add on, if you tie an external spur on, these are things that can break loose, they can walk around, they can move and change. Notice my handle again. There's nothing crazy here. It's all easy stuff. You're going to be able to keep consistency by having equipment that's the same every time. The less parts you have to move, the less problem you're going to have. One of the other reasons that I love having this channel in here is when it comes to loading the spear, you don't have to try to balance it. Trust me, if you're trying to make a second throw, if you've already been holding the dart and you throw at an animal, your adrenaline is going to be through the roof. If it's not through the roof, you need to find something else to do because spear hunting is some exciting shit, okay? So anyway, the channel allows you, instead of trying to be able to put this on like a spur that's exposed, you can hit this channel anywhere and run it right into that spur. So you're talking about loading this thing really fast. So instead of trying to, again, catch it right on this little tip, yeah, imagine shaking and I'm all excited and you're trying to catch this and you're sliding over. No, you stick it anywhere in this thing, you miss it, and you jam it down. It's in there. That's what's so great about this design, okay? So that's the first thing, is that basket maker's design. Now, let's look at the handle real fast. The reason that I like a handle like this, I make the camera focus because it wants to argue with me. I don't like anything crazy again. Something I can grab very fast. So if I need to drop it for a second, pick up a dart, do any of that stuff, I can pick it up and I can grab it in my hand. And a lot of it, he's talking about muscle memory, but there's also feel memory. Notice that there's a very slight flare. I don't care what you use in this. It could be a wrap of sinew, it could be a wrap of leather. I don't need a leather grip. It's unnecessary. It's for show more than anything. All that stuff's for show, okay? The handle, I like to put a tiny flare so when I grab a hold of it, I know where I'm holding it. If it's indexed like this, I know that I don't feel this anymore. Same like this. I can pick this thing up and rotate it in my hand and get it exactly where I need it to be, because the more you use this thing, the more your hand will remember where this little lobe is. And if you're up here and you don't feel it, you know that you're too high. So when you're talking about repeatable consistency, you need to put some sort of indicator. Mine is very simple. Again, just this little lobe at the end of it to let me know where I'm holding this. This is going to keep you consistent. If you do the same thing over and over and over again, it's going to make your throwing more consistent. Now, every time that I pick this thing up and I want to load a dart, I can throw it in there and we are ready to go. It is literally that fast. Okay, now sizing the thrower is very important. Everybody wants to build the thrower first. I have no idea why. They'll just go cut a stick and they carve it and they make it intricate and they put so much work into this. They get the thrower done. Now I'm going to go build a dart, right? It's the wrong way to do it. I promise you right now. There's not many things that I tell you is wrong to do. Building the thrower first is the wrong thing to do. You build your darts first. Figure out the length, the weight of the darts that you want. When you're talking about hunting normal big game, pigs, deer, that kind of stuff, you're going to want, in my experience with stone tips, about 3,000 grains. Can you get by with a little less? Of course. Can you get by with a little more? Of course you can. It's not a problem. I like that 3,000 grain threshold in my spear, okay? So when I build the thrower, it's not a random stick. The idea behind this is when it's loaded and you hold it in the loaded position, it should balance this. And I like it personally to be slightly nose heavy, okay? So if I'm holding it, it's very comfortably just pulling down a tiny bit. The reason I like that is, to me personally, and it may not be to you, is I feel like I can be more steady if I have a little weight out front. If it's completely balanced, I feel like the tip walks around on me too much. And certainly if it's really back heavy, then it really walks around a lot. So I like a little bit of nose heavy. So what I do is when I cut a stick, I always start long and I start as heavy as I can. So I'll build the spur and I'll build the handle. And then I practice by holding my darts. Okay? If it's really back heavy or it's really well balanced, I want to remove material from the thrower. Now you can strategically remove material from the thrower. What I like to do is only remove it from the belly. Okay? Now, a lot of people talk about having a thrower that flexes, that's important. My thrower does not flex. The reason for that is the more that components flex and move around, the harder it is to be consistent. I personally like a thrower that's rigid. I do not want one that's wafer thin. That's not my game whatsoever. The darts flex, and I don't even like those to flex a whole lot, but they do. you'll find that the harder you throw, the more things flex, the harder it is to be accurate, okay? But what I'm talking about with reducing strategically is I like to leave the end that the spur is on is almost completely around to what the branch was. And then, of course, the handle is as well. It's shaped, you know, for that bell end. And then I always flatten and remove material from this belly to balance it. And I very slowly remove material until I feel really confident to where my spear balances. You don't need a banner stone. If you've ever seen or heard somebody talk about a banner stone, they have a banner stone built onto the end. A lot of times they're on shorter throwers. If you have a shorter thrower and it's as heavy as it can get and it's not balancing, that's when you add a banner stone, because you need the balance to be able to throw this whole system accurately. If it's very nose heavy, it's a very difficult thing to throw. So if you have your thrower longer and only remove material, which again, why you want to have your darts built first, remove material to match your thrower to your spears or your darts. And then you don't need a banner stone. Now, that being said, when you do want a banner stone, is if you're looking at hunting very large animals. So we're getting into a situation where I'm going to do a hunt for the closest thing to megafauna that we have. That hunt's coming up. If you're not following my channel, you better follow it, because we're going to have some epic stuff coming up here in the future. Hang tight 1 second. Alright, so we have another dart here, very heavy forward shaft, or hardwood foreshaft. And this whole spear is 4,000 grains the way it is right now. It's the same length. It's much thicker. This is basically as heavy as I can make a river cane spear. When I load it onto my thrower, it is extremely nose heavy. So if I look at my target, coincidentally my target's that direction, if I face it towards there, it noses down really, really heavy, okay? So when you want a banner stone is when you are building a dart that is so heavy for hunting something very large, like I'm planning on going and doing, that you need to counterbalance this more. Either that, or I'm going to have to build another thrower that's, say, 40 inches long. And that's feasible too. There's nothing wrong with that. The difference is I hunt with this one all the time, and I'm very confident with it. And it's already long enough. Okay? I know it will deliver the power that I need. But if I add a banner stone to the back of this, which I'm going to do, I actually have one made. I've already tested out. It works very, very well. It's going to counterbalance it so it's not so tip heavy. So you put a little weight back here, and it's going to counterbalance that right back out. And then that's going to be what we're looking for. Okay? So when it comes to building your thrower, worry about the darts first. Match the thrower to the darts. Slowly remove material. And that's another reason I always like to remove from the belly, because if you get to a situation and it's flat, if you want to add a banner stone, if you're throwing heavier spears in the future, it's already flat and a lot easier to attach that banner stone to. So I know this video was long and drawn out. I tried to drop a ton of information on here and really emphasize the importance of the simplicity, but the experimental science, if you will, behind the thrower and why I build it the way that I do. And I hope that it helps you out in building your own Atlatl. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you would like any of these components, spears, points, throwers, any of that stuff, it's available on my site, HuntPrimitive.com. Check it out.